Mark Holmes here. I'm back. I've got it taken care of. I'm not sure if I did or didn't, but we'll see if this is getting me back on track. Unfortunately, I had a little glitch. I kind of changed the YouTube channel up a little bit, trying to make it a little bit more interactive and things, and now I've kind of lost the feed and having a little problem with the Wi-Fi. So forgive me, and let's see if I can get the live chat going. And I still don't see the live chat. Okay. Well, I've got 16 of you guys in here. Unfortunately, I'm not seeing the chat on the screen at the moment. Hopefully, it will come up here in just a second. Let me say hello and see if I get a response from you guys. I'm not sure if you guys are seeing it or not, but hopefully we are. Live now, let's see. 28 people are watching. Well, I'm glad to know that you guys are watching. The strength is good. That's great. And let's see if we've got. Well, hello, everybody. Finally, yay. All right. Forgive me. You guys know I am old, okay? So when I'm doing this kind of stuff, forgive me. I'm, wow, 10 minutes in the video. Hi, Sarah. Hi, Robert Oman, Matt X, Angel Rodriguez, Bill B. Yeah, okay. Like I said, forgive me. I am old. I don't always know exactly what I'm doing, but I'll eventually get it together at some point. Like I was saying before, the main reason why my channel grew, and it's not that I've been just a bandwagon fan that just came along because the Cowboys were winning this year. I've actually had this channel since 2012, and you can go back and you can look at most of the stuff that only had a few hundred views in it. Not too many people were subscribed to the beginning of the season, but basically when I started talking about Dak Prescott being the guy that I truly wanted in the draft, when all of a sudden he started playing well, started looking for anything and everything they could on Dak Prescott, and people stumbled across it. I've always been doing Cowboy Jobu, which actually I started in 2012. The first game we went to was that opening the Dallas Cowboys versus the Giants in New York. We were there doing a community build to kick off the season and stuff, and went to the game. So that's how the Jobu report started, and I used to just do everything on Facebook. Well, I've been doing Facebook. I've got, plus fans on in there, and I started doing more and more of YouTube, just because it's just a different platform, and it's another way to connect with people. And it just started growing and growing and growing, and I can do a lot more stuff here with YouTube that I can't really do with Facebook. So that's the reason why all of a sudden this is growing. And if I were a bandwagon fan, I certainly wouldn't have been on here as much as I have been this week after we lost Manning up. So bandwagon fan. I gotta, maybe one of you guys can answer this one for me. Not much, Michael. Matt XD, nice to see you. Marquise Carpenter from Cali, great to see you. Dak to the future. What the hell's going on with Jerry Jones? I'm beginning to think that he's getting a little senile out there. If we are in fact to believe Jerry Jones, that he in his mind is thinking about Tony Romo being a starter for next year, he has completely lost it. And for Stephen Jones to come out today and say basically it's on his dad and Tony Romo to work out something, kind of scares the heck out of me a bit, because I don't understand what it is. Tony Romo with his contract is not a viable option. Unfortunately, it's not Tony Romo's fault. Unfortunately, that Jerry made for guys like Jay Ratcliffe and Miles Paxton, Marion Barber, Terrence Newman in the 90s. The psyche of a rookie who did everything you could quarterback and possibly lose a team. You're making your coach that I'm not that fond of definitely look like a puppet. You're screwing with the psyche of your rookie quarterback. And I just can't understand why. We went from 4-12 with 3 different quarterbacks that got 1 victory. You lucked out because you really wanted Paxton Lynch, and you thought about Carson Wentz. You got lucky that it ended up being Dak Prescott. But yet, here it is. You're still talking about Tony Romo. I'm just kind of mystified. Sarah, maybe you can give me an answer. Well, I know I'm praying that he's trying to drive up an offer, but I still don't see where anybody's going to say, oh, we got to give up a couple of number 1 picks because Jerry Jones says Tony Romo's going to be a starter. I think that's bull. I think Jerry actually believes that stuff. And funny, if you listen to good old Skip Bayless, who will tell you that he believes that Tony Romo is going to be the starter next year. You're on the Jobu Sports Report. What can I do for you tonight?
What's up, Jobu?
Same old stuff, different day, man. Just loving my Dallas Cowboys. So what can we do for you tonight? What's your question?
I got something to say. I want to compare Jerry Jones to Phil Jackson of the New York Knicks and James Dolan of the New York Knicks.
I saw you comment that earlier. Yeah, that's interesting.
Phil Jackson as an executive, I mean, we know he's an NBA champion. We know he has 11 rings with the Bulls and the Lakers, but his last 3 years in New York have been pathetic. Even when he got whatever he got to New York, the Knicks were already garbage. When you look at Jerry Jones, I mean, they're both similar. I mean, like, similarities. I mean, they both got championships. 2 good teams, but, like, having success at all. I mean,
you know, that's a great comparison because, see, you know, Jerry screwed it up back in the 90s when he got rid of Jimmy Johnson and made sure he brought in the worst coach possible to win with Barry Switzer. And we won in spite of Barry Switzer, not because of Barry Switzer. And since that time, he's been still chasing it and still trying to prove to everybody that he is the king shit and knows what he's doing. And I think that's what it is with Jason Garrett. Because he anointed Jason Garrett to be the next great coach, he's still trying to force that square peg into that round hole. So, yeah, you've got a great analogy there. I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with Jerry. But I got to be honest with you. When I start looking at Jerry and you really start looking at him close, he looks like he's aging really quick. I mean, he's 73 years old. Now, my dad's about 5-6 years older than him. He doesn't look anywhere near like that. But then again, who knows? Is Martinelli leaving this year? I don't know if he is or not. But, you know, he's getting kind of a bad rap on the defense. But I got to tell you, the defense really doesn't have any horses. You don't have any guys that you're going to say that's a stud, you know, an all-pro other than Sean Lee. Byron Jones has played well, but he has done the most with the least as far as the defensive linemen go, because he's taken guys like George Sylvie, who was a journeyman, had 3 sacks in 4 seasons before with 4 different teams, and turned him into a 7-sack guy. So he is a good coach on the line. It's just that I don't think he has that much talent to work with. And that's why I said we need a good high draft pick on that defensive line, an edge rusher. You need a guy like a Calais Campbell to plug in on that defensive line as well. And if he can work with those kinds of guys and the group that he has, I think that defense could be outstanding. We're going to end up having quite a few holes we're going to take care of. It's looking more and more like Terrence Williams is going to be gone. We pretty much know Bryce Butler is going to be gone, so we may need to get a wide receiver. We're definitely going to need to get an edge rusher. Brandon Carr is a free agent, as well as Morris Claiborne. Brandon Carr, I think, will be back under a more team-friendly contract. Morris Claiborne, sorry, you know, a lot of people are saying he played great, but he played great for 8 games. And you can't have a guy that you can't depend on. And that's been Claiborne his whole career. I'm from the state of insanity. And that's where, with Jerry Jones, God bless him, he at least recognized that he wasn't getting the talent that he thought. And that's where Will McRae came through. And Will McRae has done an outstanding job of getting the talent on the field. You can't argue with the amount of talent that we have on the team. I have no problem with that. We have holes, but you show me a team that has every position locked up, and I'm going to tell you it doesn't exist. Everybody has shortcomings or weakness. They're great on offense, terrible on defense. Very few teams are great on both. My problem is we seem to keep making the same mistakes down the stretch. I talked about this before with Jason Garrett, and a lot of people are telling me I'm an idiot, and they're so proud of that 13-3 season. But 13-3 season means nothing if you don't win at all. Those kinds of seasons are rare. But if you piss down your leg when it comes crunch time, what good did that do? 2011. Here's the thing. Every single time there's been a defining game, we've lost. 2011, going to the last week of the season, we're 8-7. All we have to do is beat the Giants, and we're in the playoffs. We lose 31-14. But everybody says, well, but the Giants went on to win the Super Bowl. Yeah, true. But they wouldn't have if we won that game. 2012, the very next year. 8-7 again. Playing the Skins. RG3, who was on one knee. We lose 28-18. Boom. 2013, 8-7. Go against the Eagles. Win and we're in. 24-22. And the play that really just haunts me over and over and over again. We have the ball at the 48-yard line. We score, that game's over with. It's 4th and 1. I think it's John Kitna was the quarterback. I may be wrong on that. I'm getting old and forgetful. But it's 4th and 1. DeMarco Murray literally ran over a defensive lineman. I mean, ran over him, knocked him backwards, and we passed the ball. 2014, the catch, no catch. We should have been trying to eat up the clock and ran the ball instead of going for it all with Dez. 2015, one win without Tony Romo. 2016, clocking the ball and 2 pass plays. I just feel like whenever it's the end of the season, the game's on the line, we find a way to lose instead of a way to win. And that's how I feel about Jason Garrett. So, a lot of people will go ahead and tell me I'm an idiot. And I'm trying to understand how it is that this asshole keeps getting on here. When you see this guy, Mark Holmes, on here, that's not me. I blocked him a couple of times, and he insists on coming in here. So when you hear some profanity and all this other BS, it's just some idiot that has no life, and he's just trying to piggyback on mine. So, it is what it is. I guess that's just the way it rolls out here. So he's even got my Facebook picture up here now, too. So, ignore all that stuff. That's just the troll. But that's one of the things that just really bothers me with the team is that we just can't seem to get it together in crunch time. And it hurts me to my soul because here it is. Tomorrow's the playoffs. One step away from the Super Bowl. I'll be there and care about who's playing in it. That's what's sad. Kyle Orton, I apologize. It was Kyle Orton, John Kitna. Same level, basically. Find something else to do. You like Mark Brunell? Okay. Yeah, well, Mark Brunell's a little over the hill now, I think. Okay. Yeah, Jedi Knight, we do. We all want a Super Bowl again, man. And that's where we have to we've done better at getting this stuff together. I mean, if you look at the team from, say, 4 years, 5 years ago, basically we've gone from being an old team to being a young team. We've gone from not being in as much cap hell. I mean, you're hearing the numbers that we're right at the cap number, which is different because we used to be like 20, 25 million over the cap. You look at a lot of our key players in our offensive line that are locked up for years to come. We're in great shape from that. So it's now just a matter of plugging the holes. But I think the biggest thing is we still have to deal with coaching. Unfortunately, nothing's going to change because, Jason Garrett's 13-3 and everybody is thinking he's the greatest thing since sliced bread. But I still don't believe in Jason Garrett. Not when I hear Jerry Jones out there talking about, Tony Romo can do the things that Aaron Rodgers can do, and I still see him in a Super Bowl. Kind of makes you want to get the side eye. But anyway, on to other news. Apparently, Zeke is finally out partying and having a good time out in Vegas, and I hope he has a great time. He deserves it, had a wonderful season. I'm glad at least our Dallas Cowboys wait till the end of the season as opposed to guys like Odell Beckham that partied during the season during playoff week. You're on the Jobu Sports Report. What can I do for you tonight?
Hey, how you doing, Mark?
I'm doing great, man. How are you doing?
Pretty good. I've been listening to you for a while.
Appreciate that.
You're doing a good job.
Thank you.
And, I know there's a lot of guys out there that get on your nerves. They're just young guys.
Yeah. Yeah, they are.
They're
looking
not
for
guys that are
attention.
our age.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what can we do for you tonight?
But, there's a lot of guys out there talking about Tony Romo. His time's up.
Uh-huh.
And, you didn't hear anybody whining and crying like Roger Staubach, when his time was up. And he won 2 Super Bowls.
That's the thing that bugs that I keep trying to understand, because you know how some of these guys are with Tony Romo fans, that they think that he is literally the greatest quarterback that ever lived. But I keep trying to say, guys, Joe Montana won 3 Super Bowls, and they got him out of town. Peyton Manning won one with the Colts. They got Andrew Luck in there. They got him out of town. What makes you think that Tony Romo is different from all these other guys?
And then you had Troy Aikman.
Yeah.
So where was he up for when I know he got hurt.
Right.
But,
yeah.
But nobody cried about him.
Not at all. Yeah.
It's like, okay, we're going to move on.
But unfortunately, it's a natural.
You play football.
Oh, I know. When they can find somebody to replace you who's better, younger, and cheaper, you're gone. But
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
Thank you.
You do a good job.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that, man. I do it for guys like you, man, because I enjoy talking, and I'm glad somebody likes listening. Thank you so much for calling. Yeah, that's the thing that I love, man. I do this because it's fun for me. Believe me, I'm not working for ESPN getting paid or anything like that. This is just fun, and it's therapy for me because it's at least a way to kind of get out the frustrations of everything that's happened with the season. Because, this season, God, I'm trying to figure out if this season is worse than last season. Because, you knew by the middle of the season that it was over with. You knew we weren't going anywhere, but to think about how we were this time last week, thinking about, okay, we can get past Green Bay, who are we going to play, to now talking about the offseason, it stinks. The number for the show is 9. Let me type it in here. 903-345 Jobu. Wasn't planning on taking too many calls tonight. I'm actually going to be a little bit short tonight. I need to spend some time with my beautiful wife if I want to keep her being my beautiful wife, because I've been neglecting her a little bit, and she's been really, really busy getting ready for stuff for the Super Bowl. So it's Saturday night. We don't have Cowboy football tomorrow, so I'll need to do a little bit with her. Well, Andrew, I'm glad that you came from the homosexual side, but Dak is better, to be reasonable. And the thing that bothers me is I've been a fan of Tony Romo's forever, but I've also been a fan, like you said, of Troy Aikman, of Emmitt Smith and all that stuff. But I recognize that It's about the team more than just one guy. You have to understand that football is a sport that moves on with or without you. It's like having that girlfriend that you know is bad for you, that you know is going to break your heart, but you just can't stay away from it because that stuff is just so good. And that's what football is. And you have to understand that you're going to get your heart broken.
Alex from the other bank. Oops, your caller just hung up. Press 2 to call.
Okay, Alex trying to call back from the Outer Banks. It said you just hung up. But football, and if you've never played football, I mean, really played football, you might not understand, but God, you will do anything to stay on that field. I mean, I had times where broken fingers and stingers in my shoulder, could hardly walk, 6 a.m. ice whirlpools that you do to stay on the field. You're on the Jobu Sports Report. What can we do for you tonight? What's your name? Where are you calling from? Hello? Turn your radio down, please. Okay, yeah. If you call in, make sure you turn your radio down because the timing isn't lined up and it just kind of gets to be confusing. Romo for president. Well, Romo and actually Mark Sanchez were both here for the inauguration yesterday. Saw pictures of both of them hanging out and stuff. Should have tried to grab Tony Romo, see if I could have gotten an interview, I guess. Dak is not better than, okay. All right, Anthony, if you think so. I dare say the numbers will bear that a little bit differently, but hey, we're all entitled to our own opinions.
Jared. To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2.
You're on the Jobu Sports Report. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name's Jared. I'm from Jacksonville, Florida.
Hey, Jared, how you doing tonight? What can we do for you?
I'm pretty good. Oh, yeah, you said something in one of your previous videos that really struck a chord.
Uh-huh.
You mentioned how some Cowboys fans like to throw the 5 rings at the Eagles' face.
Mm-hmm.
But in the last 10 years, the Eagles are the ones who did go to the Super Bowl. So, it's been 20 years since we've been, but it's only been 11 years since the Eagles went. So that's the one thing they can really shove that back in our face. When, as time goes by, we can't really use the 5 rings anymore,
Well, that's why I said last night that you're not going to hear me using that argument anymore because, it's like Janet Jackson said, what have you done for me lately? And lately, we seem to be disappointed at the end of the season. And it really sucks. I got to be honest with you because it's always like a bad taste in your mouth that you can't get rid of. And the offseason is just too long. So I agree with you on that. The Eagles, especially in the early 2000s, they were kicking ass and winning division year after year. So when you look at relevance, been relevant for 21 years. And we have to get past this being satisfied knowing that, we were a great franchise in past years, that we were, consistently competing for Super Bowls because, New England's and the Steelers, they're passing us by in those numbers. And, we need to start getting back in there. And, what can I say? Thank you for calling and thanks for the support. Yeah, I'm no longer using the whole 5 Super Bowl championships or the 5 rings anymore. We are definitely one of the greatest franchises in the NFL history. The fact that we have as many Hall of Famers as we do, when you compare it to a team like Philadelphia, who has been around since forever, twice as long as we have an embarrassment of riches. But all that is from before. It ain't happened in the last 20 years. And we need to start fixing that legacy now. We need to start rebuilding with the great cornerstone players and great playoff wins instead of these losses. We've been part of some of the most exciting games from that catch, no catch. From that game, I don't know if we're going to come up with a game. I don't know if that's going to be the great robbery since they definitely screwed us on a couple of calls. But we've been on the losing end of these great games. I want to be on the winning end of these great games. Daryl Smith, I think You know what this actually reminds me of, and I don't know if you guys remember in the offseason last year, people were talking about Ron Leary for Giovanni Clowney, and that was the big talk that, oh yeah, we might be able to do that trade. And I think that's basically what this is going to be. Although it actually would make sense for him to go to Texans, but Texans still have a couple of big contracts between Brock Osweiler and J.J. Watt that you have to deal with. And even though we would trade Tony Romo, what people don't seem to understand is the contract on your cap doesn't go with him. That $19 million is still there. So whether we cut him in June 1st, after June 1st, or we trade him, we still are on the hook for that $19 million that we can spread out of 2 seasons. So what I ultimately think will happen is Jerry Jones will end up giving Tony Romo the option of picking the team that he wants to go to, because I don't really think anybody's going to give more than a 4th or a 5th round draft pick for Tony Romo. You know, the thing I wonder, because I see a lot of you guys talking about edge rushers, I'm not sure there's going to be any great edge rushers left out there by the time we draft at 28. Those guys are really great ones are going to go, you know, earlier part of the draft. You know, you're going to be basically in the category of like DeMarcus Lawrence and things like that, who hasn't been a bad player, but unfortunately his back injuries really slowed him down this year. Player. And I think we're going to need to, for once, spend some money in free agency, even though Stephen Jones says that's not what they want to do.
Alex on the Outer Banks.
Alex on the Outer Banks, how are you doing tonight?
Oh, good. I'm a fan of your show. I
really Thank you. I appreciate that, man. We're small but growing.
I agree. I'm glad to see you growing. I like your opinion. I agree with you about Jason Garrett.
Mm-hmm.
I think he is kind of trying to be like a player's coach instead of making these guys kind of work it. I mean, for Tony Romo to be making that kind of money and then be playing golf should be a year-round job for that kind of cash. I mean, I know he's not playing the golf with his back blown out nowadays, but
you know, and that's one of those things that's not going to get better.
He's never really got us to the promised land, so.
And I'm, you know, and not all that's his fault though. You know, we've had some teams that were questionable. We've had some good ones with them, but for whatever reason, you just have some guys that just can't get there. You know, regardless of how well they played. And unfortunately, I think his time is really up. That I don't think he can make it through a full season. And that's why, to me, you really have to look at moving on, especially when you have a guy right there that's ready to go. I honestly believe that Jerry Jones was thinking that Tony Romo was going to be playing for 2 or 3 more years, and that's why they figured, okay, we'll wait till the 4th round and draft a quarterback because we won't have somebody who's going to be there to challenge Tony Romo, and we'll get to a Super Bowl with him. But Dak kind of threw a wrench in that, just like he has everywhere. He's just basically, once he's gotten that job, he's not relinquishing it. And if his history...
I'm just glad he fell into our lap, though.
Oh, yeah. If history is anything...
And you were on point. You were definitely on point. He's come through just faster than expected. You know?
Right. Yeah, regardless of what people say about him. But thank you for calling, Alex.
Oh, yeah.
And thanks for watching the show.
Hey, thank you.
Yeah, that's the amazing thing about it is if history for Dak Prescott follows through the way it has throughout his career, he will continue to get better and better and better, because one of the knocks on him was he's a running quarterback. But if you actually look at his statistics from when he basically started for 3 years, the first year he ended up having a lot more rushing than he did in the last years. So that rushing versus passing just kept changing every year. He ended up passing more and more. He doesn't look to run. I mean, there are some design plays where there'll be a draw and he'll run for a touchdown, but it's not a look for running first. He is looking to pass and make a play with his arm and not his leg. And that's the thing I love about him. Yeah, Nick, you're right. The good old Dak attack. Dacky no tackily. Okay, I like that one too. Dak the truth, bad coaching and lost the game. Yeah. We got to fix that next year. 50 cents for a pass rusher. Okay. What, did Mark Holmes get tired of posting stuff on here? I don't see him here anymore. Jason Jackson, I hope you're wrong about us not winning a Super Bowl with Jason Garrett or Jimmy John or Jerry Jones around. I pray that that's not going to happen. I'm just hoping that maybe next year we can get it together. I don't know. I'm beginning to wonder if talking with Tommy Eagle has gotten me BTS, because damn if I don't feel like I've got some of the symptoms these days, you know? The good old depression, the talking about next year, the good old reminiscing about the past. It's definitely some of the symptoms of BTS. But I just feel like we're insane, though. We keep doing the same stuff over and over again. And I just wonder when it's going to change. I don't know. Somebody out there, maybe one of you can convince me that we're going to be better, or that it's going to be a different. Because I need some definite. Do I think Calais Campbell can still contribute? Yes. Okay. On this season, 54 tackles, 8 sacks, 3 forced fumbles, destroyed Ryan Tannehill for the season, and an interception. He'd be second our team in interceptions from the defensive line. He'd be number 1 in sacks. He'd be top 10 in tackles. Yeah, he's still got plenty in the tank. I'm not talking about him being a 5-6 year solution. I'm talking about Calais Campbell being an impact player who will draw attention, who will make everybody else around him better, and will help out your linebackers by keeping them clean, because he will occupy 2 guys. We're talking about a guy who will get to the quarterback and collapse the pocket. And hopefully we can draft an edge rusher who will also be able to put pressure on there with David Irving. Because, see, here's what you got to understand. The key in pass rushing is you don't necessarily have to get to the quarterback, but you have to keep contained. That means everybody has to rush in their lanes, so there's no place for the quarterback to run, okay? And if you can get pressure up the middle, he's going to start getting happy feet looking to go around. And if you got guys that are collapsing the pockets on the side, he's going to try and get rid of that ball quick and is more likely to make a mistake. And that's what Calais Campbell will do. Because if we just look at totally getting our pass rush from the draft, and we've been fortunate that we've got some pretty good guys, we're not going to get everything else that we need. Like I said, we're going to need a wide receiver. We're definitely going to need probably a tight end. You definitely need a cornerback or 2. And we need edge rushing. And we don't have any compensatory picks this year. We basically got our 7 picks, and that's it. So, and on top of it, 28th is almost a 2nd-round pick, you might as well say. So you're in the bottom of the draft. So we kind of got some of our draft this year for next year. So you can't get everything we need from the draft. So that's where you've got to look at free agency. And I think, knowing what I know about Calais Campbell, of knowing him for about 5 years now, fortunately doing some stuff with him off the field and things. He is one of those players you don't hear a lot about because he is low key. He doesn't look for attention. He's a guy who works his ass off. He is a guy who comes to play every single day. He's a guy who doesn't get hurt. He's only missed 6 games in his career. He is a leader in that locker room. And that's the kind of guy you put together with a Sean Lee, Jalen Smith, if he's actually healthy and the real deal. You put that guy together. You get a healthy DeMarcus, David Irving going out there. You get a Tyrone Crawford healthy. You've got a great rotation now where you're going to be able to put some pressure and help out your back end. And with that offense being able to control the clock, if we learn to run the ball more like we should, then you really can control the games. So, pass that around. And remember, if they end up signing Calais Campbell, remember who started that first. It was good old Jobu Sports Report, because that's where I started last year working with Dak Prescott. And I swear, sometimes I believe that Jerry Jones listens to me. Well, look, here's the thing. Brandon Green, he won't be getting JPP money, even though he had better statistics. You want to play? Sometimes you got to pay. Right now, we're spending $32 million is what we spent on our defense. And 11 of that this year was Brandon Carr's. So we only spent $21 million on the rest of the defense. And you look what we got. Quite frankly, they overachieved for what we paid for. You can go ahead and try and draft. We can go ahead and keep getting journeymen and practice squad guys, but we're not going to get there with that. Sorry. It's not going to happen. Premier pass rushers are not cheap. You got $24 million on Tony Romo this year, and he didn't even play this season. So if you're talking about $10 million for a guy like Calais Campbell, yeah, that's worth it. You know, people are talking about trading for J.J. Watt. Well, he's $14 million, and he's coming off injuries. So if you want a guy who's going to be able to do the job, you got to pay for it. You know, here's the thing. Myles Garrett could be a fantastic player, but here's the thing. I have never been a fan of moving up in the draft because, to me, I don't care where you draft. To me, it's about a 50-50 crapshoot. And that's the honest truth. You look at what the Rams did to move up for Jared Goff, all the picks that they gave up, and it's not that you miss on that pick. It's all of the other players that you gave up for that pick. So when you look at what we did for Morris Claiborne, trading our number 1 or number 2 pick to get him, when he didn't work out, it's not only just him, it's that other second-round draft pick that you could have had that could have been a starter or a key player on your team. You know, when you think about the Washington Redskins, when they drafted RG3 and gave up 3 number 1s, imagine if they had drafted like 3 offensive linemen or, 2 offensive linemen and a defensive tackle, where that team would be now. And that's the risk you take when you end up trading up all those picks. I have never in my life been a fan of that. You look at a team like New England, draft picks. They're constantly moving back and trying to increase their odds by having more picks. They'll trade a player who might end up saying that they want more money to Siberia, #Cleveland. They traded that linebacker of theirs because basically he said he wanted more money. He was like, oh, yeah, you want more money? Okay, we're going to ship your ass to Cleveland. Anybody else want to raise? Anybody? Okay. That's how you have to deal. And unfortunately, football is ruthless. It's cutthroat. They don't care about you. You're a piece of meat. We're renting you. When we're done with you, see you. So if you want to get a premier guy, you got to pay him. And again, I'm not a big fan, like I said, of trading up to get in the draft. It just risks too much in my mind. But again, I'm just an idiot with the voodoo doll and a job. So what do I know? True, most pass rushers, and that's part, and say, yeah, I agree with you on that. Most pass rushers, the second season, third season is when they really come around because they need experience, which is true, which is part of the reason why I say if you bring in a guy like Calais Campbell, get an edge rusher along with the guys that you have, you can make do, or you will definitely be improving what you already have. Oh, damn, Joe, thank you, guys. You know, I was thinking about sending Jobu to AA because he's been actually hitting this bottle pretty hard since last week. I mean, you see, it's just about done. Give Norv Turner a call for an offensive coordinator. You know, Norv Turner is actually a guy who is a great coordinator but a terrible head coach because his time in Washington, nothing. His time with the Raiders, nothing. He went to be a head coach, he was only mediocre. But as an offensive coordinator, he was always fantastic. So I'm wondering if that's basically Jason Garrett. Because Jason Garrett, I'm sorry, I just don't see it. Straight trade would work. I guess we're talking about J.J. Watt and Tony Romo. Tech scam, underpaid players. Okay. Draft want to pick up a free agent. Jonathan Allen, Calais Campbell, that would be nasty. I'm telling you, Calais Campbell would be a beast. And I'm telling you that Calais Campbell he's made money in the past. I think Calais Campbell, he wants to get a ring before he retires. And I can tell you for a fact that he wanted to be a Cowboy before. Okay, don't tell anybody I told you that, but I can tell you that for sure. And I dare say that if he becomes a free agent, that the Cowboys are on one of his wish lists. I'll just leave it there. Well, he's a clapper. Unfortunately, though, we can only dream about having a new coach because Jason Garrett's not going anywhere. Matt, you may be right. Again, I have no control over the Dallas Cowboys. I don't work for them. I don't have their money to spend or anything else. I'm just giving you, if it were my team, this is my opinion, and this would be what I would do. And maybe, just maybe, we can get it going out on the internet, get people thinking about it, get people talking about it, and maybe get them thinking about it. You never know, because there have been times that I've done stuff with Jobu on Facebook and things that I swear Jerry Jones has used. And I'll give you an example. In 2014, when we had Chris Christie being the Dallas Cowboys mojo, I can tell you for a fact that 3 Dallas Cowboys defensive players had Jobu t-shirts that said, "Spread the mojo." Because I saw George Selvey at an autograph signing in the summer, and I gave one of the shirts and said, hey, this is to help spread the mojo and so on. I saw him before the Redskin game, and he said, man, he said, I wear my t-shirt all the time. He said, I need to get another one. I was like, cool. So I gave him another one. So when you hear Jerry Jones was talking about, the Dallas Cowboy mojo, I said, you know what, Jerry? Either that stone of mine that turned up missing that says spread the mojo, you got it. Or you've seen one of those shirts. So that's one of my stories there. So maybe, just maybe, if we start talking about Calais Campbell and get it out in the blogosphere, maybe they'll start thinking, hey, what about that boy Calais Campbell? That might be a good idea. You never know. I put out there for Dak Prescott about this time last year. He's a Dallas Cowboy. Come on now. Jerry, if you're listening, Calais Campbell. I should be Jerry Jones talking in his head. Yeah. Well, you know what? I'd like to get some of his liquor because I know he's got some good stuff. If you think we're good to go with the defense we have, yeah, we're definitely on the same page now. We've got to step on the defense. The biggest problem with our defense is lack of turnovers. We need, besides having a great pass rusher, we need a ball hawking safety. We need a guy who's going to get picks. Jeff Heath, God bless him, he got 2. But I'm not sure that he's going to be Justin Brown, your 6-year-old daughter, is she a fan too? Hi, Leah. How you doing? Jobu says hello, Leah. We need a guy who can get turnovers. And that's another thing about Calais Campbell is when he gets you, and he forces fumbles. We need to get the ball more. Our defense did, like I said, a great job for the talent that we had, but we need a little bit more. We need to get that ball. We need those momentum changes, and we're just not getting that yet. And again, I think it's partially because we don't have the talent on that defensive line. Well, Justin, thank you, man, for sharing Jobu's sports report with your daughter. So she's a Dallas Cowboy fan at 6. That's raising them right. Yeah. Cam from Seahawks. Good luck with that one. Pass rusher is definitely the big priority. We've got to have a guy who can definitely. Well, here's the thing, Curtis. I tell you what, they did spend $1 million on the defense for the Giants, but that's a big difference for them. it certainly was the Giants' offense that kept them in game. But I wouldn't have spent that kind of money on the defense personally. I wouldn't sign that many free agents. But see, if you sign the right guys, and a lot of times, like when we signed Greg Hardy just had warning signs all over him, and I was a passer for having a pass rusher. The off the field issue, because I was just excited about a guy who could be a 10, 11, 12 sack guy. It didn't work out. If you're smart in free agency, look at the field. See a guy that's going to work my system. Because a lot of times you have a guy who gets great numbers because of the system that he's in and the players that are in, that are around him. And then they get to having to be the number one guy. And it's totally different. Because before they were in a system where the focus was over here, not on me. Now I'm the big name guy that I'm the focal point on the defense, and I can't live up to it. So that's one of the things you have to look at for free agency. You also have to look at, was it just a contract year and that's why he played really well? You look at Jason Hatcher. His statistics were about 3 sacks a year till that contract year. Boom, all of a sudden he had 11. After that, he signed with the Redskins for $25 million for 2 years. He went back to a statistical average. Calais Campbell, throughout his career, has been a 7, 8 sack guy a season every single year. So it wasn't a contract year that he all of a sudden just got it. He has been that way throughout his career. And that's why I say a guy like that who is hungry and wants to get that ring before he retires is a good fit. Yeah, well, the Packers cheated all day. And that, oh, God. Like I said, I just can't watch that. I've got it recorded. I just can't watch that game yet because there's so many damn plays and penalty calls that weren't called or were called on us. It just drives me crazy. Yeah. You know, did you guys notice where on that pass play, I'm remembering this and maybe I'm misremembering it, but on that pass play where the guy cut the ball out of bounds, the other official came over and smacked the other official on the ass. I'm just kind of like, yeah, these guys are rooting for Green Bay. And for that idiot to call that same penalty on us of 12 men in the huddle, which he didn't go in the huddle, knowing that the last time it was called by that same guy 2 years ago against us, kind of lets you know, yeah, there's some shit going on. But I can't say that it would have been from the NFL higher up, because when you think about the ratings, I guarantee you the ratings tomorrow aren't going to be jack crap compared to what the Cowboys had. The Dallas Cowboys in the Super Bowl would have made a ton of money for the NFL. So I don't think that was the NFL trying to keep the Cowboys out. You're right, Steven. It's football. Like I always say, you got to have the ball bounce your way, because sometimes it bounces the other way and it just doesn't work. 69 people watching. Yeah, it's a slow night. That's all good. You know, a lot of people, it's Saturday night. The Cowboys aren't playing, and it's the off season. So, you know, I'm happy. I'm happy for everybody that's joined in tonight and have helped me get over my sorrows about the Dallas Cowboys. You know, because like I said, football for me it's a great thing. And to think that there's only 3 games left of the season, unless you count the Pro Bowl, 4, and it's the off season, and it's going to be terrible. God, I hate the off season. So hopefully the season will go by quick, and we'll be back to football soon. And with that note, it's 10 o'clock, and I need to go spend some time. Well, Yanis, you have your opinion, and I have my opinion, okay? Again, I don't work for the Dallas Cowboys. I don't, Izzy, I do read from the live chat as much as possible. I don't work for the Dallas Cowboys, and I'm giving you my opinion. And it may be right, it may be wrong. Who knows? But it's still my opinion. Thoughts on Rico Gathers? Well, they brought him up to the roster, so we'll see how that goes. But again, I'm going to wrap this up, guys. It has been fantastic, again, talking to you guys. What I need you guys to do, leave me a comment. Check out the new layout of the channel. And it's actually therapeutical for me to kind of go back through, because I've done so many videos that I forgot some of the ones I've done. But look at those Dak Prescott files as Dak Prescott, when I first started talking about him through the draft and when he started playing, because there's some great videos from his first couple of games and what the experts were saying about him, about, he's still just a fourth-round quarterback. He's slow on the reads and yada, yada, yada. And it's nice to see that whole progression of Dak Prescott throughout the season. So if you're missing football, check out some of the early work and stuff I had. And if you want to go way back, check out some of the very first videos, because there's some claymation ones of Jobu actually playing golf and doing some stuff like that. So as always, guys, thank you guys for watching, commenting, and subscribing to the Jobu Report. And let me know when's the best time to live stream, because I'd like to live stream once a week during the off season so we can get together. So as always, have a great night and a great weekend, and go Cowboys.